Okay, so the big showdown between Sovereignty and Baeza did not disappoint in the Jim Dandy. Let's get it out of the way. Yes, Sandman ran like crap. I was really hoping to shut up some of the losers on Twitter who have like taken a liking to trashing him and getting mad about like the attention that he's bringing to the sport. Like, get a life. But anyway, he ran like crap. We're probably going to take a step back and look at maybe some lesser 3-year-old stakes. I'm still confident he's going to get better as he gets older. So we're still really proud of him and excited for the future. But yeah, not a great effort, but a great effort from the top two for sure. And it's just, I don't remember a 3-year-old class, John, where the top three were so clearly ahead of everybody else, like this early in the year. Like maybe, yeah, you get around the Breeders' Cup time, you have like a couple of standouts, but Sovereignty, Journalism, and Baeza are so much better than everybody else. I looked this up. So between the top 15 buyer figures posted by 3-year-olds this year, 10 of them belong to Sovereignty, Journalism, and Baeza.
Wow.
10 out of 15 of the top buyers. And just the fact that they even ran that many good races, like 10 period is great, but 10 out of the top 15 is amazing. And there's only one other horse that has multiple figures that are on their level, and he's the only horse that I think could possibly upset the apple cart in the Travers. That's Magnitude. Mm-hmm. Magnitude had that huge win in the Risen Star, came back, huge win in the Iowa Derby. He's obviously got to step up in class. He's the only one that I think could maybe make a dent against these top three. But, Sovereignty is he's awesome. He's beautiful to look at. He's a big hulking horse. When he was right alongside Baeza, I was like, wow, he's like twice the size of Baeza. And it was, it wasn't, I wasn't dazzled by it, in the way that some people were. He just did what he had to do. He got a 104 buyer. I'd say he was like eased up a little bit late, but I thought before like the 16th pole, he had run pretty hard. He's just, he's a machine. And I thought this was a time to try to take a shot because this wasn't the ultimate goal, with the ultimate goal being the Travers, but he just proved his class, and Baeza tries hard. And I always have a lot of respect for horses like him in journalism who can ship back and forth across the country and continue running big races. And I'm in awe of those three horses, and obviously, especially Sovereignty, he's gonna be tough to catch now unless journalism can knock him off in the Travers of the Classic.
Yeah, and going into the race, they threw a mic in front of Bill Mott and basically asked him about Sovereignty and what do you think about this race? And his quote, as he's standing in the paddock for the Jim Dandy, his quote was, "The long game, of course, is the Travers." And I went, ooh, hot damn. All right, good. He's not cranked all the way. We got a shot. We got a puncher's chance at doing this. And it's going to set up. Wah, wah. Exactly is the way they weren't out. But no, you have to, with all due respect, tip your cap to Sovereignty. And I don't remember who it was who picked them in the Derby contest. Oh, that's right. It was me. Yeah. So, one of us recognized his talents. But Joe, it's interesting. Like, we ran against him in the Street Sense, and he kicked everyone's ass in the Street Sense. He went from 9th to 1st almost in a heartbeat, and won that race pretty impressively. And then they put him on the on ice basically, and said, okay, we're not going to run him in the Breeders' Cup, obviously, because it's so close. We're going to wait until March to unveil him for his 3-year-old year. And basically, other than, the Florida Derby, all he's done is win and seems to be getting stronger. And even if the buyer numbers and whatever metrics you use don't show it, he is just getting stronger and deeper and better. And don't forget, journalism a couple of weeks ago when he won the Haskell, I was equally as excited about, oh my God, I'm so happy for the connections and he looks so good, blah, blah. And all he did was lose to Sovereignty in the 2 races that they've had. So the way between the Jim Dandy, the Haskell winner, and the way that the Whitney is looking, what kind of field are we going to have for the Classic? And I'm trying to bridge us into the Whitney because that's that's the next race we're going to talk about. But Joe, I mean, it is going to be, hopefully, it is going to be chock full of 8, 9 really quality, older horses and 3-year-olds going for the richest race in the United States.
Yeah, no, I mean, and this is, I always hear the caterwauling about how horses are getting slower over time and less sound, and they don't run as frequently. And maybe all that's true. Yeah. But I love seeing years like this where you just got star power pretty much up and down, at least in the male division. And then even in the female division, if you want to throw in Torpedo Anna, who I probably will take a shot at the Breeders' Cup Classic, this is shaping up to be a tremendous renewal of the Classic. And there have been some subpar ones, and we haven't been afraid to call that out. But yeah, this year has just, it's been phenomenal. And I think the Whitney is a war. Yeah. Like Mind Frame apparently is not going to run, but nevertheless, the other 9 horses in there are all pretty damn accomplished. Like I look at a horse like Skippy Longstocking, who's made $3 million, and is probably going to be like 15-1 in that race. And
wait, you think that one's going to be 15-1? Really?
Maybe not quite that big, but I think he'll be 10, 12-1 at least. And
well, I think when they leave the gate, he'll be 15-1, but coming down the stretch, he'll be 8-1.
No, they cut him off with 2 minutes to post. Nairo was the first ones to do that. Let's give them a little bit of credit at least. Okay. And all the other tracks have been slow to follow suit. But yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways to go. I mean, he's 10-1 morning line, John. So I'm a little interested in Highland Falls in this race. He had that huge race in the Jockey Club Gold Cup last year over the track. We won off by 4 lengths. He obviously didn't run a step in the Breeders' Cup Classic, but he was wide, chasing a pretty fast pace. So I give him a little pass for that. And then he came back in an allowance where he obviously was way the horse to beat at Aqueduct, but I thought he looked very, very impressive visually. He does lose Flavian Pratt, who sticks with Sierra Leone, but Highland Falls is a little bit interesting to me. You obviously got White Abario, who's trying to bounce back from kind of a no-show in the Met Mile. Yeah. He won the Whitney obviously 2 years ago when he won by 6 1/4 at 10-1. I still can't get my head around that, but Fierceness certainly is, I think, narrowly the horse to beat in here, but he also was not great in the Met Mile. Had dead aim on Raging Torrent and couldn't go by. John, this is a war, and I'm interested to see how the pace shakes out. It doesn't seem like there's a ton of speed. You have Mama's Gold, who's going to be like kind of the rabbit, more or less, unintentional rabbit for a lot of these other horses. But yeah, John, which way do you lean?
Well, I don't agree with that last sentiment. I think Mama's Gold is going to show speed. I think contrary thinking is in the race also. To true. Go, gate to wire and kind of be a rabbit. And I honestly think that with Safi having 2 horses in there, I think that Skippy Longstocking, especially getting the 2-hole, has to go. And at least keep position, try to keep the pace honest. So I think it's a lot of this. Do I think that your favorite horse of all time, Sierra Leone, has a chance because there's so much speed in the race? I don't know about that, but I say that very tongue in cheek, because if you haven't listened to the show, Joe jumped off the Sierra Leone bandwagon, rightfully so, a lot earlier than I did. As far as his style of racing, but Fierceness, like I still have trauma thinking about Fierceness and betting on Fierceness as to whether or not he's going to show up. I think that his, inconsistency days are behind him now. But I would have loved to have seen both of Rapoli's horses, Mindframe and Fierceness, go head to head in a race like this, especially setting up for, hopefully the rematch in the Breeders' Cup. And Joe, I know we're talking about good horses and good older horses. How about Nisos? I mean, can you say anything about Nisos other than if it wasn't for losing to Mindframe, coming off a long layoff, over a year layoff, and finishing second in the Churchill Downs, grade 1 in the slop, he'd be undefeated. I mean, he just played with that group in the San Diego. And again, is the San Diego handicap a legitimate grade 2? That's for a different conversation. But he beat some good horses in there.
He beat some okay horses, and he got a perfect trip. I don't know. Like we were talking about last week with Sam. Like he kind of had to fall down to lose that race, in my opinion. I think the time to take a shot against him is in the Pacific Classic, because then he's got to stretch out to 1.25 miles. He's probably going to be a similarly short price. You got to think at least a couple of horses who were not in the San Diego take him on then. But yeah, in terms of upside, he's top 2 or 3 in that division. I think I just got to see it again going 1.25 miles. But yeah, just back to Saratoga for a second. It's a phenomenal card on Saturdays. You could imagine on Whitney Day, 4 straight grade 1s. You got the 4-star day of the Saratoga Derby, the Test, and then the Whitney. All are pretty loaded. It's great to see some international participation in the Saratoga Derby, just because we haven't really gotten that in the Belmont Derby. But this race seems to stand out, and the one of the Euros, Hot as Hell, is going to be the favorite, 7-5 morning line. by Too Darn Hot, who's a Group 1 winner overseas, coming off a race in the Coral Eclipse going against Elders, only beaten 3.5 lengths. That's a pretty big feather in your cap, third off the layoff. I think he's going to be pretty tough to beat, but you do have a couple other Euros in there. The test is pretty deep. Mm-hmm. And the 4-star Dave is super loaded. We're taking a shot with Cugino, who's got to get a little bit faster, but we've always been really, really high on him. And Shug's done a really good job bringing him along. Johannes is shipping in, finalist for the Eclipse Award last year. For Tim Yachtine, Think Big, who just won the Kelso. There's a lot of good racing on Saturday. And not to be outdone, John, we got Ewing in the Saratoga Special. That's pretty exciting. I'll let you take it away on that.
And Joe, you got to love Ewing. Got to love him. Or as some people are still calling him, Ewing, which I love. I love the fact that some people still call him Ewing, which is my favorite thing. Anyway, posting the rail, not so sure about that. But that being said, it's a 5-horse field, and basically he's going to go, and we're going to see if they can catch him if he can. But I wouldn't trade our position with anybody. And Jose is going to ride him. Actually, Jose Ortiz was announced, just recently that he is going to ride. Irad is stepping down from the mount. They've worked it out, and Jose is very excited to be riding Ewing in his second career start.
Yeah, I mean, Obliteration is the horse to beat, but I like the speed that we have. I'd be more concerned about the rail if he didn't have that blazing early speed. It's going to be hard to clear in a field full of fast 2-year-olds, but we're excited to run him. He just does everything so easy in the morning. I'd be remiss if we didn't mention Dazzle Doro, who unfortunately broke down and had to be euthanized earlier this week. He was going to be one of the favorites in this race. So just want to extend our condolences to Tom Amos team and the connections, because that was obviously super unfortunate and tragic. So hope you guys are dealing with it as well as possible. So it's never easy, especially with a really exciting young horse, to have something like that happen. But yeah, it's a important race. It's a stepping stone to the hopeful. 5-horse field or not, I think that a lot of eyes are going to be on the 2-year-olds in that race. And yeah, it's a terrific day of racing. I unfortunately am not going to be there. I'm going to be at Del Mar this weekend. We got a couple of horses running out west for the West Point team, and then I'm flying straight to Saratoga for the sale on Monday. John, I have a 1 hour and 6-minute layover in Detroit. We can take a couple bets on whether or not I'm actually going to make my flight to Albany, but I'm kind of very, very close.
Yeah, that is kind of really close. I don't know who your travel agent /
travel
enemy is, but I would never do that myself. But I hope you're wearing track shoes, because you're going to need to be. I was going to say you're going to need to be running through the airport like O.J. Simpson, but I don't think our audience gets that anymore. So. Joe, all I can say is if the shoes don't fit, you must have quit.
Yeah, okay. He stopped himself from the O.J. Simpson reference on the Hertz commercial and then proceeded to lean into the O.J. reference from the trial.
Right.
But yeah, it was the only way.
I am going to be at Saratoga on Saturday to root Ewing on. And we also have a homebred running in the second race, Orbit, who is a medallia colt out of our mare Earthstrike, who ran on the dirt, when it came off the turf, and ran a solid third. I mean, he's not a dirt horse necessarily, but he'll run 1 mile and 16th on the turf. And we'll be curious to see how he does, in the route race. But the thing that I love, and again, thank you, Naira, for doing this, is that we're in the second and third, and I get to go home after that. So, I can watch the rest of the races from the comfort of my own home at that point. But I also am going to be up there for the sale. We got some meetings. And Joe, by the way, I don't know if you heard, but we're going to do our 100th show up there.
Yes, we are counting down the days to our 100th show live on scene. I did want to mention we're side by side in that turf race. We got British Invasion,
that's right,
the Vega Sun, right next door to Orbit. So that should be a little interesting. No funny business from you or Len when it comes to leaving the gate, please.
I can't promise that.
We want a clean, orderly race, John. But this is all in good fun. But yeah, looking forward to the show next Tuesday. Come stop by, come hang, come watch us, come throw tomatoes at us, whatever you want to do. We're going to be on the Fasig-Tipton sales grounds for our 100th episode. Cannot wait.